All right, folks, come get ready with me because we're going to talk a little bit more about the housing market crash, everybody's favorite topic. So we're going to dive deep into the world of real estate, specifically the much debated topic of the housing market crash. Is it a myth or is it a looming reality? Let's find out. Okay, so over the past 18 months, we've heard whispers, we've heard rumors, we've heard outright declarations of a housing market crash. But what does the data actually say? Are we really on the brink of a crash, or is it just a market adjustment? Before we dive into the numbers, let's take a moment to understand what a housing crash really is. It's a period of rapid decline in home prices, often triggered by economic factors such as a recession, high unemployment rates, or a sudden increase in interest rates. So let's look at the numbers. The median sale price of a home in June was up to $426,000. That's up pretty significantly from even April. It's over a 2.5% increase in just a couple months. But wait, before you panic, let's put things into perspective. Home prices are actually down 3.4% from the peak 12 months ago. This might seem like a significant drop, but the grand scheme of things, it's a minor adjustment. Remember, we were talking about median home prices, not appreciation. Median is the middle data point of a data set. Despite the slight dip, does this really look like a crash to you? The data suggests a slowdown, not a crash. We've seen a drop of about 11% from the peak, which aligns with previous predictions of 10 to 15% drop. But let's not forget the real estate is cyclical. It's a cyclical market. It has its ups, it has its downs. It's just part of the cycle. But let's talk a little bit about mortgage rates. Let's shift our focus to rates because they're all the rage. Everybody's talking about them. They're hovering between 6%, 7% for quite some time now. The lock-in effect is causing homeowners to hold onto their properties, which is reducing the supply of homes in the market. They don't want to move because they got a lower rate. This is creating a supply crunch, which is keeping home prices elevated. It is supportive for home prices if homes are not selling. There's a demand, there's a lack of supply. It's pretty simple. Remember, home prices are determined by supply and demand. For a housing market crash, we need more sellers than buyers. But that's not what we're seeing. The housing supply is still depressed compared to pre-pandemic levels. There's currently 1.4 million homes listed for sale. That's down by about 5.5% year over year. This lack of supply is just one of the factors keeping prices high. Let's talk about home sales. The number of home sales sold each month is down a little over 16% year over year. This is actually an improvement from the prior month, or in April, when it was down about 25% year over year, and down 33% in January. So while sales are down, they're not plummeting. This is just another indication that we're experiencing a slowdown, not a crash. Another interesting data point is the percentage of homes sold above list price. In May, 37.5% of homes sold above list price. This is higher than pre-pandemic levels, indicating that there's still strong demand for homes, even at these high interest rates. So while we're seeing some signs of market slowdown, the market, in my opinion, is far from a crash. So what's the future of the housing market? Well, it's a tug of war between forces driving prices up and pulling them down. The lock-in effect and housing shortage are pushing prices up. While a potential recession and higher unemployment could pull them down, the National Association of Home Builders predicts that the housing shortage will continue for the entire decade, which will keep prices high. On the other hand, the Federal Reserve expects a recession to begin at the end of the year. A recession could lead to higher unemployment, which would put downward pressure on home values. However, it's important to remember that a recession doesn't automatically mean a housing market crash. The last recession in 2008 was triggered by a housing market crash, but that's not always the case. In fact, if you look at the chart, typically housing does pretty well during recessions. However, another factor to consider is mortgage rates. The expectation is that mortgage rates will be lower by the end of the year compared to today. Now, especially if we go into some sort of recession, typically we see a little bit lower interest rates. And lower rates could stimulate the demand, which could help support home prices. For the remainder of 2023, the expectations is we will remain in a seller's market. Sorry, home buyers. But the buyers will gain a little bit of a bargaining power. This means that while sellers still have the upper hand, buyers might be able to negotiate better deals, better closing costs, better purchase price, more repairs. That's a normal thing right now. Home prices will also vary by region. Prices in the West will be more unstable compared to the East, and home prices in the Midwest will be, in the South will be more stable. So depending upon where you live, you might see different trends in your housing market. Remember, it's very, very regional. It can literally be as granular as neighborhood to neighborhood. So regarding home price predictions, Zillow predicts that home prices will increase by 3.5% this year, while Morgan Stanley predicts that home prices will be flat. Goldman Sachs predicts basically flat. Fannie Mae basically flat. And there's some institutions are predicting a 20% drop. So you can see there's no consensus on where home prices are headed. Now, personally, I predict that, of course, we're going to see a slowdown. I'm seeing it on a daily basis. There's no doubt the amount of transactions is slowing down. We're seeing a little bit of softening in home prices here in the South primarily. But so far, from its peak, we're only currently down about 3.5%. So to me, it doesn't look like a crash. It looks more like a market adjustment. Still, time will tell. And again, I still believe interest rates will be lower towards the end of the year. So if you're experiencing a slowdown, it's far from a crash. And as always, pay attention to the data. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. Have a great day. My name's Darren Hunter.